Yeah, I'm Ben. I work at the Mozilla Foundation, which is an NGO, actually. People think of Mozilla as a software company, but we're actually a public interest technology organization first. And so at Mozilla, I'm focused on strategy and fundraising and looking at policy change and things like this, particularly these days in how the next billion internet users will come online, under what conditions, and with what affordances. Yeah, so when thinking about how you bring people online in mobile-first markets, there's a few areas that need to be optimized. So one, infrastructure. You can't have people on the internet if you don't have the towers and the diesel generators running to actually keep the internet going. So there's a big infrastructural piece, but beyond getting the 3G networks up and running and making them affordable to people, there actually needs to be local content. There needs to be a level of relevance and incentives for people to actually use the web and to spend their money on data and to generally embrace the web as a lifestyle. And so we're focused on that. How do you get a local content ecosystem up and running? How do you do local adaptations of technology innovations that have worked in the developed world but really need to be rethought for the mobile-first markets? And then really looking at the capabilities piece as well, because we assume that if you hand somebody a smartphone, they're suddenly a paying internet customer who understands what the web can do for them. But in fact, we want to see that people not only have the basic sort of rudimentary skills of how do you operate the device, but also the mental models for how it is that the web can improve their lives. And sort of overcoming the risk mentality of, well, I ought not try that new service because it's going to cost me money, or I really ought not try that new thing because I'm not sure what it is. And so trying to increase comfort, trying to introduce what we call web literacy, so the sort of sets of skills and competencies that people need to be able to use the internet, and looking in general at how we can make the internet more than a digital marketplace for the next billion people, but treat them as participants and as co-creators of the web as it enters new places. For many hundreds of millions of people, the smartphone is going to be their first experience with a personal computer. And so one of the things we're focused on is how can that feel like a personal computer and not just a service delivery channel. So I think people are very comfortable with voice and SMS and those sort of traditional mobile services. How does the mobile internet look over the next 5 or 10 years? How do you get people into the mentality that says, I can go and explore and find the content that I want. I can even create the content and share the content that I want. That's something that's not going to happen on its own. We actually need to invest in building software and tool chains and value chains that make that possible. Some of what we're doing in that area includes Firefox OS. And so we have an entree into the sort of mobile OS market. Some of what we're doing is programs for digital literacy. So how is it that we're going to work with mobile companies to invest in these skills? We have a new mobile app called WebMaker that we've launched into beta. It's for Android, and it's available in 20 languages. The idea of WebMaker is that if you're a first-time smartphone owner, how do you get involved in the mentality that says, I'm a content producer? And how do we get people creating content and sharing content in a way that assumes a wider audience than just family and friends? And we think this is important because it's only through that sort of opportunity, which we all had when we had the desktop internet. I mean, we all had the opportunity to set up a homepage and do those sorts of things, which became a pathway to learn skills, maybe learn HTML, maybe become a digital entrepreneur. We need to make sure that those pathways are available to the next hundreds of millions of people that are coming online. And so WebMaker is a really humble experiment in that area to see what can we do to stimulate that kind of creativity. How can we create those sort of pathways? It's part of an overall gradient of experimentation that we're doing with partners like GSMA, the Mobile for Development part, that we're working on educational institutions and foundations worldwide. And also, we like to work with mobile stakeholders to get involved in, because we think that, for instance, mobile carriers are going to be the front door, and they're going to be the interface to the internet for those hundreds of millions of new customers. So they have an opportunity to shape the perception of the internet in a way that's going to benefit the bottom line. We've done some experimentation that's shown that if you show people how to use the device, if you go beyond the operation of the device, like how do you conceive of the internet, those people use more data. They understand what you can do with the device. They understand the relevance of the device. Going beyond that, if we can help local innovators start to monetize and become part of the value chain, that's going to help as well. So we think that we need to start thinking creatively about how we do that and go beyond this service mentality, which is really important, but ultimately the people who are going to know what they need are going to be the customers. So we need to find a way to enable them, what we call the demand side, to start shaping the experience and get involved in co-creating the internet. It's not going to be a top-down phenomenon, and it never has been.